Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the HollingsWorthless podcast. This is for Wednesday, October, I don't know, something, but it's coming out Sunday, October 18th. As always, I'm your host, Big Irish J, and we have the magnificent one, the Maniscal. I don't fucking Manny Martin.
Manulus Rojas.
Yeah, Manulus Rojas. Is Rojas really your middle name?
Yeah, it was like some famous boxer that my grandparents were in love with back in the day, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we'll give it to our son," and then their son gave it to me. So,
and then your initials are Mr. Martin.
It is Mr. M. Yeah, man.
Manny Martin. I gotta. You know what? Before the next one, I'm gonna have like 4 nicknames for you. Eminem.
Mr.
Eminem,
M.
no nuts. Or extra nuts, big nuts. Yeah, so there's got a bunch to cover. So I held off on doing the podcast. It's late, obviously, this week. I mean, it's the Worthless, It's called the HollingsWorthless. What do you expect? But because I knew I was going to probably talk to Phil, and I wanted to be able to give an update. So I was telling Manny a little bit about it. So I talked to, for those that have been longtime listeners, Phil Fox. I have to go over this in case there's new listeners that I don't even know who Phil is. So I started the podcast, God, I don't know, 7-8 years ago. When I originally started, it was just me, and I would talk for an hour, and I would probably yawn about every 15 to 20 seconds. I don't know why. I don't think you can get those anywhere. I have them all archived. But anyways, and then I would have like all my best buddies on. Manny, me and Manny were also roommates, but Manny would come on, Sean would come on, Phil would come on, and Phil Fox, who was this at the time, he was a brand new comic. He was a professional juggler. He did magic. He just was a crazy kid. And he had been on the podcast a few times, and he became the unofficial, not mascot, but we would call him the mascot.
Yeah.
And then he was like the co-host, one of the co-hosts. I mean, really, it's kind of like everybody's kind of been a co-host at various times. You, Sean, Kane, Phil.
Totally.
But Phil became like a staple of the podcast for the longest. Then I moved to LA. He moved to LA. We were doing it there. Then he moved back to Seattle. And we were kind of figuring it out. Now we have this where we can do it like this, and we're working our way around it to where hopefully the audio is good. Because Zoom, like, shit cuts off, but me and Manny have kind of figured out a way to do this where the audio, who gives a shit? Nobody gives a fuck about the tech side of it. Fuck. But anyway, so me and Manny, or Manny and I, and me, Manny and Phil, we went out to Richland. I'm leading up to what happened to Phil, and so we went out to Richland, and we were doing shows and stuff, and Phil came out to do guest spots. And he hosted one show, and it was one of the greatest bombs ever.
So good. So good.
Dude, him coming around the corner just going, "Jay, what happened?" I was like, you bombed. He's like, dude, they didn't laugh at all. Oh, God, it was the funniest shit. Anyway, so then we're back in Seattle, all of us, and we went to the movie. We went to see the The Shining sequel, right?
The sequel.
Dr. Sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So me and Manny there, and then Phil came late, and he was acting he was all fidgety and stuff and whatever.
Yeah.
So after the movie, I'm like, yo, are you on something? He was like, yeah. Long story short, and I'm only putting this out here because Phil has. But he come to find out he was on, what was it, heroin or meth? It was heroin.
Yeah, he wasn't shooting it though. He was like smoking it.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know you could smoke heroin. But, I mean, literally, we're sitting in the movie, and he won't stop just, like, scratching and fidgeting and, trying to be funny. But, like, and it was rough to see him like that. And it was, like, we were like, man, you got to stop doing this. He was like, yeah, man, I'm trying. And it had just been this on and off roller coaster for a while. It was, but I think you were finally kind of getting through to him, so...
Well, I don't know. So when we got done with the movie, and so just also for people to know, so Phil through the years of being on the podcast, he'd talk about different drugs he had tried and everything, and then like Manny and I are squares. Like I've smoked. The hardest thing I've ever done is weed at various times, and it's very rare that I even do that. But Phil had told us at different times he had done different drugs and just has crazy stories and all funny and laugh, haha. But so when it comes out when he tells us that he's on heroin, I was like, dude, you can't. I don't want to be around that shit. I don't condone it. I told him, I was like, you can't be on the podcast, dude. While what's funny is it's like. It's not like this is the fucking The Tonight Show or anything, it's the fucking the HollingsWorthless, but
exactly.
But I know Phil loves it, and we love Phil. We all of us love Phil. I've always jokingly said that Phil is the lovable loser, and I don't mean that he's a loser. I just mean I also say that he's walking Murphy's Law, where if something's gonna go wrong, it will go wrong, and it's gonna be hilarious because it's Phil and the way he'll react to it. Anybody that knows Phil, you love him. He's fucking just a quirky guy, and his heart is in the right place always.
And he just has no shame. I mean, anybody who has hung out with Phil for an evening, you're gonna have a good Phil story to tell afterwards. It's like we were in Richland, and he wasn't even high, but he was just he wanted to be part of the Halloween costume contest so bad that he stripped down to his underwear. And was competing, and the DJ was making fun of him. He's like, "Hey man, you got doo-doo stains on your drawers," and he was like, "No, I don't." You know what I mean? And then everybody's booing him and shit. It was
fuck, dude. Yeah, oh god, dude. There's so many crazy, funny stories about Phil. I've told this so many times, but I'll tell it again in a second. The first time interacting with Phil. But anyway, so I told him, I was like, you can't be on the podcast, dude, because I don't condone that shit, and I don't want to be around that shit.
Right.
So you got to figure it out. So then, and that was dude, was that a year and a half ago or?
Yeah, because we did that show during Halloween.
Oh yeah, Halloween.
Yeah. And
was it 2 years ago or a year ago?
It was a year. Yeah, because it was Halloween, and then you stayed in town for I think a week or two afterwards, maybe, and then we went to go see the Shining movie, which was I think a Halloween kind of release movie. So yeah, man, God, that's only been a year, and he's kind of just had this little roller coaster. But I'm so glad to see him coming out the other side. So
yeah. So when I told him that he can't be on the podcast, he was like, okay. So then over the course of the next, we'll say, I guess 10 months. I would check on him. He would tell me, I'm 5 days sober. I'm like, and all of us were supportive. We would all call him and text him at different times. I told him, I was like, I've never dealt with addiction like that. I mean, I'm addicted to food. I'm a fat fuck. We all have all things that we deal with, but I've never, totally. I don't know what the grips of that addiction is like. So I told him that. I go, look, I know it's easy for anybody to be like, oh, just stop or don't do it. And I told him, I was like, if you are getting the urge to do it, you can call me. I go, I don't know what I can do. If it's talking you off the ledge or trying to whatever you need, I'm here for you. I love you. I just, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And which, he would say, I appreciate that and I'll take you up on it. But then he wouldn't call. But he's talked about it. Talked to me about it where I think he might have done it on the podcast. Anyways, so over those months, on the podcast, I just told people that Phil was dealing with some personal stuff, and then he'll be back when he gets a chance. I didn't want to put his business in the streets. And then he decided to come on the podcast and announce to everybody or tell everybody what he was going through. So
right. Yeah.
So that was great, and I think he got a lot of support from people, and then again, ups and downs. He would call me, hey, I'm 2 days sober. Hey, I'm 2 weeks. And then finally, long story short, his family got him into rehab, and he's been in there now about a month.
Nice.
And yeah, he called me. It's interesting because he doesn't have access to his phone or anything in there. So he'll call me from there at different times, and I can call there. at certain times and talk to him. And I just talked to him, I talked to him last week, and then I just talked to him recently. So the most recent update, long fucking build up, but I wanted people to know the background of Phil that are newer listeners. And Phil will be back, as long as he stays sober. But no, so he's got, I think Tuesday he gets out. He asked to stay an extra week at the rehab place. He's doing good. And he next week he's going to, I don't know what it's called. It's like an aftercare thing or something.
Like kind of a halfway house?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Is that the term for drugs and not crime? I don't know.
Yeah, I think halfway house might be crime. So maybe it's just something like close to that. But dude, that's awesome. I mean, a lot like you, I tried to tell Phil, I was like, if you ever need anything, man, just call me. If you're ever having those urges, we could talk or whatever. And then I would text him and call him, just to check in on him, and wouldn't get a response. Yeah. And then, a few weeks later, he'd be like, hey, man, thanks for checking in on me. It's still rough. And, I'm so glad that his family was able to step in. And, I think that's the only way you're probably going to get the help you need sometimes.
Yeah, he said that he addressed that about, I can't remember if he did it on the podcast or if it was just when we were talking, but he had talked about like when we're calling or texting or whatever, and he's in that dark place, he kind of, he feels bad because if he's hasn't been sober for a few days, or if he did it again, he just kind of feels bad talking to us or whatever. But he appreciates everything. So he's going to be in this halfway house, we'll just call it, for I think a few weeks.
Okay.
And then whenever he gets out, which I'm thinking, I'm just putting in my head December. Look at early December, which is also when I get my puppy. What?
Oh shit!
But he will be back on the podcast, and he's gonna talk about everything. And he also has like some major news that's his to tell.
Okay.
Which he will tell when he comes back, and it's going to be great. So.
Exciting.
With all that said, I'm going to give you people a Phil story, and I've told this on the podcast before. If you've heard it before, I guess you can fast forward fucking 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Sorry, I got the hiccups now. Anyway, so this is probably 8-9 years ago. Louis Anderson and Kyle Cease were doing the stand-up boot camp shit. And so it was like hey, you want to learn to do stand-up, come to this seminar. And it was run by Louis Anderson and Kyle Cease. Well, Phil signed up for it. It was at the Parlor where me and Manny were the hosts. And so we were just did you hang out at that thing?
No, they didn't. I wasn't in at that point with like all of the managers. Okay. So I remember hanging out on the outside and hearing somebody just yell like "fuck," and one of the because it was like a couple $100 class or something, right?
Yeah. That was like I think $1,800. It was something crazy.
Yeah. So I remember one of the teachers, I don't know if it was Louis or Kyle Cease, being like, "Thank you for that expression," and trying to let them know that it wasn't like typical comedy to just yell "fuck" on stage, or something. But it was interesting. I remember sitting on the outside, kind of trying to listen in. So.
Yeah, so it's same here. I worked there. I was the house MC there, so I was hanging out there. I think it was done on like a Saturday, so we had a show that night. But anyways, so Phil had never done stand-up before and signed up for this class. He was a really, really good juggler and had done that. He would do kids' parties and shit, which if you know Phil, you're like, what the fuck? So he goes on stage and... Again, he doesn't know anything about stand-up. He did like he would do a joke, quotes, a joke. It would get nothing, and in the dead silence, all of a sudden, Phil would just go, like clearing his throat so loud. And then every time he would do a joke, it would bomb, and he would just go, great. Dude. And the comics, like the veteran comics, we were fucking dying. Oh my god. And
my god.
Oh
man.
Dude. So when I don't, again, there's something about Phil that he's so lovable, and he has a kid with wide eye energy. Like everything is like, oh wow, you know, and he also will drive you fucking nuts, you know. But so I don't know what it was, but we started talking while I was there, just because I was like, this fucking kid that doesn't know anything about stand-up is just fucking killing me from bombing. So I was in the middle of Andre Paradise runs a comedy contest or competition. You're laughing because you know what it's called, the Shades of Laughs comedy competition, and it's all through the Northwest, Oregon and Washington. I think it might have bled into Idaho maybe, and it's fucking long and it's all over the place. It's like, hey, we're gonna go to Seattle tonight, then tomorrow we go to Portland, then the next day we go to Bellevue. You're like, can't we just have them fucking right next to each other? So I said to Phil, I go, hey, I'm doing this competition for the next week. I go, if you're not doing anything, you want to just roll, hang out, you know? I go, you can, you know, we're getting rooms. You can sleep on the floor. He was a younger kid, so I was like, you know, fucking, it's an experience if you want. If not, no problem. He was like, I'm in. So Phil's now fucking literally days into doing stand-up, his first time, and now he's in a major contest or competition, like hanging out with these veteran comics. So we were at Cloverfields or something like that. It's northern Washington.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of it. And Phil had now been with us, and majority of the competition, I won't say it's a black competition, but like I said, that a black. Yeah. I guess it's an urban comedy contest. Would you say yes or no?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's definitely a black competition. It's like,
I'm glad you said it.
Because I mean, I think about all the talent that was in it at the time that you were in it, and I would say at least 90% of the comics had to be black.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'll also tell a funny or interesting story from that too. So Phil we probably have done 3 or 4 shows. Phil's hanging out with everybody. Everybody loves him. He's kind of like the mascot, or like, you know, the little hang around guy that everybody's like, yeah, this guy's fucking weird, but he's funny, you know. This fucking guy's crazy. And Phil has these big crazy eyes, and he loves being weird, you know. So anyways, we're in Cloverfields, and I wish I could remember the name of the city. And so when you do a comedy contest, all the comics go up, and then they have when the scores are being tabulated, they have what's called a stall set, meaning you're going to stall for time while the judges and everybody adds up the scores to pick the winner for the night. So I don't know who suggested it. I don't know if it was Andre Paradise or who, but somebody was like, hey, you want to have Phil do the stall set? Yeah. This kid that's 2 days into stand-up, do you want him to do the stall set of a show that you just saw headliners all go up and do their best material? So I was like, I mean, if you want him to, fuck, it's your thing, sure. So Phil goes up. Again, he has no material. He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. And so he goes up with a balloon pump, because he does balloon animals as part of his kid show thing he would do. A balloon animal, or a balloon pump, and 1 balloon. So he goes up and he starts pumping the balloon up with this thing. Now this thing, it looks like a tire pump. Yeah. And it, you know, so you go up and down like it looks like you're stroking your dick. So as he's doing it really slow, and he's just looking at this lady in the front row, and he's just going, that's all he's doing for like a good minute. As he's pumping it up, all of a sudden, the balloon pops. And Phil has no other balloons with him. That was his only balloon. So now he has no act. I mean, he had no act before, but now he has nothing. He has nothing left. So Phil just, as soon as he pops, immediately he knows he's fucked. So he yells. He goes, fuck! Takes the balloon pump, slams it on the ground as it bounces up about a foot. He kicks it. It goes flying across the room, shatters against the wall, and puts a dent in the wall.
Oh, my God.
This all happens in 90 seconds of Phil being on stage. As soon as it hits the wall, shatters, and there's this dent in the wall, immediately everybody looks at me as like, yo, what the fuck's up with your boy? I was like, I just met the dude. I've known him like 4 days. You guys wanted to fucking have him do a stall set. I don't fucking know. So, fuck, dude. It just, And that's an example of like the Murphy's Law, walking Murphy's Law. Like, what are the odds he'll only have one balloon and that balloon fucking pops? He gets his big opportunity a week into stand-up. Oh, fuck, dude.
Jesus,
man. So
funny. He's the best. Just like I said, everybody has a great Phil story. I mean, I can think about the time we were, we were just kind of this cream of the crop kind of coming up in the Seattle scene at the time. And I'll never forget, we had a great open mic one night, and then we're like, oh, he's like, you know what, man, let's go hit Bender's and let's do, an open mic. He's like, is it cool if I catch a ride? And I'm like, yeah, Phil, man, that's cool, man. Let's head over there. And, I'm just kind of in my head, I'm like, it's just a 3-minute open mic. We didn't, we had a good set, but it's just 3 minutes. And he's like,
what could go wrong with Phil?
What could go wrong, right? And he's just like, the whole ride over, he won't shut up. He's like, dude, we're taking this shit to another level, Manny.
You love it.
He's like, we're about to be fucking famous. We're about to kill it, bro. He's like, I don't think there's anybody in the game that's better than us right now. So
you like us? What's this us shit?
Yeah, exactly. So we head over to Bender's, and about the decent sized crowd. And once again, another 3 minutes. I get up there, probably 5-6 comics into the night, and have a good set again. And then Phil's like, yo, watch me crush this when he goes up like 2 after me. I'm like, and I'm just like, you give him the fist bump, be like, all right, go do your thing, man. And then he goes up there, fucking silence, and like no laughs for like the whole 3 minutes. He looks at the crowd and he's like, fuck you guys, I'm better than all of you. and the whole place is just silent, and I'm in tears, just crying from laughing in the back, man. It's just, that's Phil in a nutshell. I just like watching one of your best friends bomb is the best feeling in the world, and nobody will ever understand it. Unless they're like really doing something special, like if they're doing their Netflix special or an HBO or, something, and they're just bombing, you're like, oh, this is bad. But I mean, any other time, it's the best. It's the best feeling in the world.
Dude, and he's a great bomber.
Yes.
He might be one of the best to watch bomb, because it's just, once it starts going off the rails, so does he. He just, there's no stay calm, don't let him see you sweat. He's like, fuck that. He's like, what the fuck is wrong with you guys, dude? I remember when he did the guest spot at the Comedy Underground.
Oh my God. And he's like sitting there, and he had just gotten a smartphone watch, and he's sitting there trying to answer the phone before his set, and the crowd's just looking at him like, what the, everybody's having a great set. So it's like,
fuck.
We're probably like, no, I think he must have been like the second comic of the night. The host has a good set, and then Phil goes up there and he's just like, hold on one second. And it's just this minute of like awkward silence. And then he just bombs the rest of the set. And then it's like, I love batting cleanup behind him. And I you try not to address him. You know what I mean? You don't want to make him feel too much worse, but it's always nice to like be like, what the fuck was that shit?
Dude, so. Yeah. Oh, I was going to tell this story about that Shades of Laughs. So this is, I don't know if you know this story, Manny. So there was, I don't remember the comics' names. Two black guys. But so we were in one city, and this one dude did a joke that another comic, we'll say comic A and B. So comic B,
I think I know this one.
Oh, okay. Comic B did one of comic A's jokes like on the third night. So comic A was he was like, fuck that motherfucker, dude. And he wanted to fight him. He was a dude from Oakland. I wish I could remember his name. Yeah. And he was like, fuck that. And we were like, dude, fucking calm down, relax, man. Just chill. So the next show, comic A is going up before comic B, the guy that had stolen one of his jokes. So comic A went up, and his whole set was comic B's set. And he did it pretty much verbatim. His whole set was this dude's set. Yeah. And comic B was outside smoking, trying to get his head right, because he was following comic A. He was right after him. So as soon as comic A goes up and is doing comic B's set, we all start looking at each other. We're like, oh fuck, he's doing his jokes, and we're like, he's doing his whole shit. So comic B goes up and has no idea this dude just did his whole set, and he goes up and he starts hitting his jokes, and it's like, as a comic, you have certain jokes. I mean, hopefully all of them, but there's certain jokes that you're like, oh, this always does good. And you could see him like, he would like set up, punchline. And he's like, waiting, like, this is where I always get a laugh. And people were like, what the fuck? He just and so and he doesn't know. So then he was like, I'm sure in his head he was like, that's weird. Okay, I this next one, this always gets him. Set up, punchline. And people are like, yo, man, this is the same shit the dude before did. He's just, this guy fucking just flop sweating. And we were like, oh, shit. Dude, it was crazy. It's
God,
interesting. Go ahead, what?
I wonder if Andre has the tape anywhere of that, because it's got to be the funniest shit to just see back-to-back sets and somebody just eating it. You know what I mean? It's
in a competition, too.
Yeah. That reminds me of your of that classic story about the white comic who was following the black comic. It was he was like, give it up for that. You know what I mean? Oh my God! If you don't know this story, go back to a few HollingsWorthless episodes before, and it's a great story.
I think that's the greatest road story ever,
dude. And actually, on that note, talking about stealing people's material, so Comedy Central aired my the Heart of the City thing again. And for people who don't know, my thing posted in 2017. We filmed it probably summer of 2017. It aired November 2017. 2 years later, Wanda Sykes comes out with a special on Netflix and does one of my jokes pretty much verbatim. And I mean mannerisms and everything. And she talks about, in my joke, I talk about how white people do certain things to me in my office setting that please don't do these to your black friends, right? And I go through 3 different topics. But one of them is comparing your skin tan to my skin tone. And I literally do the mannerisms because this really happened to me. This guy, Hugh, puts his arm next to mine, compares skin tan to skin tone, and goes, almost there, Manny, almost there, right? So I did that in the joke. And, it killed. It killed on the show. Comedy Central had me as the promo clip, I would say, because of that joke.
Killing it.
You're killing it. Doing great, right? And so fast forward, 2019, my sister calls me up. She's like, you're never going to believe this shit. Wanda Sykes did your joke almost verbatim. And so I watched hers. She says, white people, when you go back to your office jobs, don't do this to your black coworkers. And I'm like, when has she ever had somebody go up to her? She's been in such a power role for so long that I'm sure she doesn't have white coworkers coming up to her because she's the boss, comparing their skin tan to the skin tone. But she literally, in the joke, goes, almost there. And it's just like, you had to have seen that, or one of your writers had to have seen that and told you how to tell that joke. And I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt because I don't think she would be stealing from a younger comic, hopefully. But so in the comments on multiple of the Comedy Central things, people were like, oh, that's a stolen Wanda Sykes joke. And I was like, I'm glad you noticed that because my shit was in 2017. Hers was in 2019. And here's the timestamp to prove it. And then hella people were just like, damn, man, I'm so sorry. You should get credit for that joke. But it's wild.
Oh, that's nice. They apologize. That's fucking rare.
Dude, so rare, right? And it was cool to see, at least, I mean, it's not the whole queue. It's like 10 people on there that were like, a like, a heart, whatever. But it's just like, damn, that you have to defend your shit. And, with me and you, we always say that if you write something close and personal to you, it's so much harder to steal. Which is wild because you had one of the most fire jokes that I love, and I don't know if it's on an album yet, but it's the one about the cheating lover, right?
The cheating horse.
The cheating, yeah. The cheating whore, right? And it's crazy because you had to find out through other sources that somebody was doing that joke in L.A., and he tried to say that it was just similar thinking, but it's like when you know that joke and the way you tell it.
I was gonna say, did I tell you what you said that he said similar thing, and did I tell you what happened with that?
I remember somebody was recording in the back and then sent it to you.
No, did I tell you what happened with him? I talked to the guy.
Oh, okay. Well, let me tell you this about that same guy. We were doing a Persian show, and I guess people on the show were upset because he was stealing those people's material on the show and doing, stolen material. But it's like he's on TV now and all kind of stuff. I'm not trying to call him out, but it's just wild how shit works, right?
Well, so I talked about this on. Okay, so kind of like Manny was saying, if somebody has a joke that's similar to mine, whether whatever the scenario is, I always give the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, parallel thinking. A lot of times, and I will, if I'm like on the show with the guy or I see it and I know the guy or whatever, I will actually tell them. I'll be, hey, just a heads up. I'm just letting you know I have a joke very similar to this. Here's a video of it, and I'm not telling you like, oh, stop doing your joke, and I'm not telling you that you didn't steal my joke. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just showing you this or telling you this so that if you see mine later down the road, you don't think, oh, he saw me do this joke and then stole it. I'm letting you know I've had this joke for a while. That's all I'm saying, and I leave it at that. And they can do whatever they want. If they want to keep doing the joke, fine. If not, cool. So, but this scenario was different because, like you said, this person was not only doing my joke, but they were like doing my mannerisms, my voice inflection. So I was on Earl Skakel's podcast, and I usually I wouldn't name a person. I would just say, oh, it might have been parallel. But I told Earl, I was like, fuck it. This is obviously verbatim. So I can't believe I never told you about this. So I get a message through my website probably, let's say 3 or 4 weeks after Earl's podcast posts from that guy. Yeah. And he goes, hey, we don't know each other, but we should probably talk. And he gives his number. So I call him. I was like, hey, yeah, this is Jay. And he goes, where you at? And I'm like, I'm at the Laugh Factory. He goes, can I come talk to you? I was like, sure. So he pulls up in his car and he goes, here, get in. I was like, I'm not getting in your, I don't fucking know you. I'm not getting in your car. So he gets out of his car. First thing he says, he goes, okay, first of all, let me say, I don't think he said I stole. He goes, I did your joke. I apologize. And I was like, oh, wasn't expecting that. Then he spent the next 20 to 30 minutes saying like, oh, because this person is Persian. He's like, I had a lot of Persian people. They heard what you said on the podcast and they wanted to go after you. And I was like defending you. I'm like, dude, what the fuck ever. Just don't do my fucking joke, Exactly. Then he said he got it from somebody else had given it to him. And cool, whatever. Fucking just quit doing the fucking stupid joke, Yeah. But I was going to say also about your Wanda Sykes thing. I had a joke. That's why, I think way back when we talked about, even if you don't have it public, you should put your shit on YouTube so it's time stamped and keep it private. So I have a joke about shaming. It starts off talking about shaming. And then it talks about my angle I take is that shaming's good, not for adults, but we definitely should shame kids. Because I go, look at who shames their kids. I go, black people. And then I have a joke with that. And I'm like, but I'm like, black people are now impervious. You can't shame a black person. You insult them and they'll turn around, own it. Right. But the whole way I start off that joke is I was like, I go, you're not supposed to fat shame. You're not supposed to slut shame. And I go, can we stop shaming shame? So I put it up, have it up there, gets a bunch of views or whatever, does great. Year later, Bill Burr comes out with a special, and he's talking about shaming, and he has a line where he goes, yeah, you're not supposed to fat shame. You're not supposed to slut shame. He goes, it's like they're shaming shame. And, pretty close. Let me say this. I 100% don't think Bill Burr stole from me or anything like that. I definitely think there's a parallel thing. But like to what you said, and then he goes in a different angle with where he goes with his joke, and I actually like where I go better. But anyways, so I have that clip. That clip's been posted forever, and then after Bill Burr's special came out, again, people in the comments, oh, this is Bill Burr. This is obviously Bill Burr. I was like, and so I just replied to him. I'm like, go look at the date of when his came out, and come back here and look at this date. So exactly. I go, are you saying Bill Burr stole from me? No, he didn't steal from me. Just fucking relax. People are just fucking. But I didn't get any of the nice. Oh, sorry. Like, whatever. Fuck you, you fat fuck. It's probably like the response.
Oh my god, dude, it's crazy though because it's like, we'll never get the credit that a celebrity will get because it's like, I won't say any names, but we know of celebrities that will ask you to buy a joke, and if you don't tell it to them, they're like, well, good luck beating me to TV with it. I mean, that's how cutthroat some of them are. And it's like, even I would say even not Bill Burr, but even Bernie Mac was like, don't do your best, shit in front of a room full of comics because they'll steal your shit, And it's like, I mean, you think about Ralph, right? And it's like, I'm not trying to call out, but Ralph used to have somebody who used to roll with him, and he would do his own opener would steal his jokes, and he would be like, "Dude, didn't you not see me do that joke like 5 minutes ago?" He was like, "No, but I took it this way and I changed the colors of the, I was like,
he
wow.
would steal from Ralph. Fucking Ralph's like, "Hey, motherfucker."
Yeah.
Dude, do you know the story of that? We'll say that comic. Obviously this isn't the comic's name.
Yeah.
We'll say his name is John Smith.
Right.
But do you know the story about John Smith at the Remembering Bernie Mac?
No.
Have you heard this story? Okay, so this John Smith comic has a very similar sound and cadence to Bernie Mac.
Right.
So after Bernie Mac passed, there was in Seattle, there was like a remembering Bernie Mac, like all these comics went. So all these comics were doing like their sets, like would go up for Ralph did his set, I think Tony Daniel was there, did his set, and then John Smith goes up and does all these jokes that are Bernie Mac jokes. As soon as he gets done, they're like, okay, all these comics have done their set. Now here's the man himself. Let's watch some of Bernie Mac's clips. And they're all the jokes that John Smith just did. So John Smith quit comedy for like a year or two after that.
Oh my God.
I remember, dude, and this was at the, what was it in the Central District? What's that theater called? It was right next to,
I can see it, but I don't remember the name of it.
I was like, I want to say it starts with a C, like Cascade or I don't know. Anyways,
yeah.
I also remember at that same place, Harlem Blue. Harlem Blue, I can't remember. I think it was Harlem Blue that said it. This is after Obama won.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, man, he goes, man, Obama won. Give it up for that. And he says the N-word, right?
Oh my God.
And I think Ralph Porter went up afterwards. He's like, did he just say about our president, give it up for that?
Oh my God, man.
Oh, dude. So many
I love
funny
Harlem, but Jesus.
Stories. Oh, God.
So, another one about John Smith. I must have been probably like, I want to say I couldn't have been more than like a year or two into comedy. And it's when I started rolling with you, and we went down to Jazz Bones, and he literally, like, I don't know the nature of the game just yet. I know, write your shit, do your shit, and be funny, right? And he goes up and he's like, let me tell you about the word motherfucker. You know what I mean? And it's like, he did the whole joke verbatim. And I just remember asking everybody, I'm like, is it okay to do other people's jokes? And they're like, no, it's never okay to do anybody's jokes, And I'm like, okay, well, this guy.
Dude.
So, oh my God,
and,
man.
And is it okay to do those other person's jokes badly? I wanted to tell you about an audition. I just had dude. And I wanted you to tell if you have any crazy audition stories. So I had an audition yesterday. It's for a commercial. I'm playing a dad, and this is literally. Usually, I don't know what to do with my hands in auditions. It drives me nuts. But now that we're doing like Zoom ones, I fucking love Zoom auditions, dude.
Yeah.
So I'm playing a dad that's listening to music, and my daughter says something, and I yell, and this is my line. So I literally am like this. I'm pretending like I have earphones on, and I just go, wait, I fucking wrote it down. 'Cause I was just, as I'm sitting there in my head, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? This is such a weird, I go like this, and I go, yeah, I'll have some paella. That's literally the whole fucking thing. And then the other take is, I go like this, dancing, and she says her line, then I go, oh no, I had a turkey sandwich for lunch. That's my whole fucking audition, dude. And I'm like, it's just such a weird fucking world and business we're in.
It is, and it's just like, it's so hard to I think for me sometimes it's hard to escape and be like, okay, these people don't think you're an idiot. They want to see you do well. And
oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, and that's what my acting coaches told me. They said when they bring you into the room, they're praying that you're the one, so that they don't have to go through any other, people. So that kind of helps. But, there's certain things I do also. I'm just like, how would I react in this situation? And a lot of times I'll find myself, I'll respond to the line. I'll be like, hey, yeah. They'll be like, hey, how's your day? I'm like, it's good. And then I'm like, I move my head around and just fucking, and I gotta just keep my head still, and not be like. Sometimes I look annoyed. I'm like, just fucking.
Dude,
dumb.
yeah, it's like I start. Like I used to, when I first got into comedy, and you like think, oh, maybe at some point I'll act and stuff. I used to shit on acting. I'd be like, fucking, it's just make believe. No, I have a lot of respect for actors. Same with improv. It's like it's just a tool I don't know how to use, and so that's like when people are like, oh, do you act? I'm like, I always kind of answer it weirdly. I'm like, I mean, I've done some things I can attempt to, but I don't know if I would call myself an actor. Just like an actor that does one open mic, I don't want him calling himself a comedian. He's not a fucking comic.
Dude, that's the hardest thing when it's like somebody's been doing comedy for like less than a year and they're like, oh yeah, man, I'm a stand up, and you're like, no, you're not.
Are you? Dude, I was gonna tell you my weirdest or most fucking. It's just I my biggest thing though. Like I said, like if it's an acting thing, and at auditions, it's really at auditions. I don't know what the fuck to do with my hands, so I start doing weird shit. Like I do things with my hands that I've never done before. Yeah, like they'll be like, okay, grab the shirt. You're gonna pantomime like you're grabbing the shirt off the thing. So I'll be like, okay, and I just like fucking just do random things, and then I start like talking with my hands all weird. I'm like, and in my head. I stop thinking about the line or acting, and now I'm like, what the? I'm like looking at my hand, like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? It's so fucking weird.
For the people who are listening to this on audio, he literally just did his hand like a magician and said, "Voila, T-shirt."
Yeah, dude. Seriously, that's perfect. Yeah, it's so fucking weird. But the weirdest, and this wasn't even like an acting audition. I was so I got hit up for a reality show. So it was 2 parts. So the first interview, it was like a conference call, I think, or yeah. It was a conference or a Zoom call type thing before Zoom. I think it was like Skype. But
okay.
The guy's like, okay, can you stand up? And he's like, so the idea of the show is, it's like kind of like a competition, and we want to show that big guys can do anything that little guys can do. And I go, but I said to him, I go, yeah, but we can't. And he's like, no. I mean, we're going to do stuff that you guys, I go, is this just like a show that's like, hey, let's make fun of the fat guys? Like, is that like, you're hoping to get laughs off? I go, if that's it, that's cool. Let me know. And he's like, no, it's empowering. It's to show that big guys can do anything that little guys. I was like, okay, well, we'll keep talking. We'll see.
Yeah.
Again, it's a reality show.
Right.
So I get set up for the second interview. I remember this so distinctly. I'm at the Improv, and I'm in the like lounge area or restaurant area, and this is probably like 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, so nobody's there, and I have my laptop, and I'm doing a Skype thing again.
Yeah.
Guy's sitting like you're sitting, and behind him is a lady. So he's like, yeah, okay, so, we want to, again, the show is big guys can do anything. And he's like, can you do something like, can you like talk smack to the little guys? Like, hey, you guys can't. And I'm in my head, I'm like, oh, fuck, dude. Because, anything I do or am a part of, as I'm listening to it, I think in my head, because I have my own brand as far as stand-up, and
right.
and me as a person, I mean, and so as he's telling me this, I go, okay, really quick, before you have me do this shit talking to this imaginary thin person or little person, I go, is this a show that's like, it's making fun of big guys, or like we're going to be like the butt of the joke? No, it's empowering, say something like, hey, I'm coming to eat, and I was like, all right. So I did something. I don't even know how much effort I put into it. And so guy starts telling me more about the show. And so this is now, I asked him again. I go, he goes, it's like, we'll have like rock climbing competitions. I was like, again, we can't do everything. I can't fucking do rock climbing. You want me to, I can't fucking, it's just going to be me at the bottom just going, oh yeah, I guess he won this one. And I was like, again, are you sure this isn't, no. It's empowering, man. It's to empower the big guy. Literally, as he's finishing the sentence, empowering the big guy, the lady behind him leans down into camera view and she goes, hey, can you lift your shirt up and do a truffle shuffle for us on camera? And I go, what? And she goes, yeah, can you just, I go, yeah, nah, I'm not going to do that. She goes, come on, it'll be fun. I was like, nah, this so this isn't the show for me. I was like, good luck. I'm good. And then I ended it. That was the end of it. And then I went and did my set at the Improv.
That's the equivalent of like me being. Do you remember that? You remember Hollywood Shuffle?
Yeah. Oh
yeah. It's like the Robert Townsend part where he's like, "Come on, baby," you know what I mean? It's just like
Tommy.
Tommy. It is just like. It's so crazy to think that like there's really people out there that are like, hey, could you blacken it up or could you fatten it up? Could you know? It's just like, come on, man. Like, but there's always gonna be that side of the world that tries to exploit you and do something that doesn't fit your brand, which is
yeah. Well, that's the thing is what's I guess it's not sad. I mean, there's something for everybody, but like for the guys that are or people that are desperate that are be like, I'll do anything you want. You want me to get fucked on camera? Sure, I'm down. You know, dude, I remember when we were roommates, it was me, Roger, and Kyle, and Kyle came to us. You know, we're living in Hawthorne, 3-bedroom, 3 dudes, and me and Roger, and we're all comics, and Kyle's like, hey, there's an opportunity for this reality show that we can all get on. And I was like, oh, really? Word? What's up? He's like, yeah. So we start naked. And then you have to. We have nothing in the house. We start naked, and then you have to go to neighbor to get different things to try and. And me and Roger immediately were like, "Nah, I'm good." And he's like, "Dude, this is our opportunity, man." And me and Roger are like, "Dude, I'm a comic. I got some self-respect, and I'm fine if I get discovered or whatever, not off comedy, but it's not gonna be. I'm not gonna have that attached to my name. That you're the fucking fat naked dude. Got a trash bag and walked around in a trash bag from your neighbor.
Dude,
we told him we were like, go get Lucas. You can fucking see Lucas wants to do that. I don't know.
You know, it's crazy. Like, have you ever seen that show Naked and Afraid?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, man. Like you couldn't pay me to do that. I mean, maybe if I was really getting serious about losing weight, maybe, you know what I mean? But I'm not going to be the naked dude out there fucking freezing, possibly dying. You know, it's just like, no, thank you. There's respectable ways to making it. And to be honest with you, you're probably not going to make it off of, most reality TV shows. I mean, you look at what is the most singing competitions, the winner doesn't even really blow up that big. I mean, I think maybe on rare occasion has anybody from Last Comic Standing who's won really become the next big thing. I sure it sends you around the nation touring, but I'm not saying that.
I'd be on Afraid to Be Naked.
You always got to have a shirt on during sex, right?
Yeah, exactly. Clothed and comfortable would be my show. Have you had any auditions like that though, where they have been like, okay, can you kind of urban it up?
I don't think, not really. I mean, the only real, I guess, bad auditions that I've ever had have been all comedy auditions where it's like you just, you're so used to being in front of a room with comics when you're telling your joke, or not comics when you're telling your jokes, but a real crowd. And then you go to, okay, there's just 4 judges that are watching you and a bunch of judging ass comics who don't want to laugh at your shit because they don't want you to move on further than they do. So like all the NBC auditions have been awful, and they're like, and your time, go. And you're like, hey, and you're going through your joke, and you know that there's supposed to be a punchline here, but you got to pretend like there was a laugh, and then you got to move on to the next part, pretend like there was a laugh. It's just, dude, it's such a, I mean, I know that they're looking for something. They want to see your mannerisms, but it's like, do you remember the Last Comic Standing audition that we did?
At the Parlor?
At the Parlor.
Yeah. I got a funny story with that. Go on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was like probably the truest testament of, doing comedy. But at the same time, you got to realize NBC isn't HBO, right? So it's like you can't do your real material. You kind of have to do stuff that's maybe watered down for TV and still be funny. So it's like, I mean, the hardest thing about those are you really want those auditions. I mean, I think you want all auditions, but I think that it's hard to not get that call the next day or keep on advancing, and then it's like, and we're done. So
I remember I did the cheating whores bit at that.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if it was you that gave me the heads up or somebody. So some Seattle comic, some girl. So the whole idea of the joke cheating whores is that every movie that like girls are like, oh, this is the greatest love story ever, the girl is cheating on somebody, and there's a reason I use the term cheating whores. It's very specific. I can't just say like an adulterer. There's a reason, like in comedy, there's a reason I say cheating whores for the end of the joke. But yeah, if you look at all these movies, these The Notebook, the Titanic, they're all these, and girls love these movies, and the girl is cheating on a guy in the movie. So in the joke, I'm saying cheating whores for these different movies. And then some Seattle comic, I don't know if she was new or whatever, she was saying that I was yelling at her specifically. She's like, yeah, he's calling me a cheating whore. I was like, what fucking psycho shit did you put that in your head? You fucking God. Cuckoo.
Yeah. Dude. So kind of on a similar note, there was this, Bobby Lee, he used to bring up people from the Comedy Store all the time, right? And so one weekend he brings up this guy, and the guy brings his girlfriend, and Bobby's like, yeah, it's cool if she does a guest spot. So every night, the first two shows, or first three, so first two shows. So Thursday night she bombs horribly. Friday, both shows she bombs. Saturday early she bombs, and she's like crying in the back. And then Bobby like is on her. He's like, you can't cry in comedy. You just got to be better. He's like, I've worked with so many different names, and they, you just got to rise to the level of what you're capable of, right? And so she's like, hey, Manny, will you help me out? When I go on stage, when you bring me up, will you just give me a hug? And I was like, sure, just to try to help her, And so she comes up and she gives me a hug, and then she gets on the mic, and I had a pretty good set, it's whatever. And she's like, can you believe this guy trying to give me a hug? And then the whole crowd was just like, okay, he seemed like a nice enough guy. That hug didn't seem creepy. And so she just bombs again.
Good.
And she just ate it. And then like, there was a part of me that was just like, oh man, you should just rip her.
I wish you would have been like, hey, give it up for that cunt.
But I just let it be. I was just like, give it up one more time for, so-and-so.
Oh, you should have, when you went up there, instead of hugging her, flipped her off on the second one, just fucking middle finger in her face.
Yeah.
Is that what you wanted?
Exactly. Part of me was just like, she asked me to hug her. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Yeah, you should have said that. Like, that's so crazy. She said that in the back, she asked me to hug her. Oh,
exactly,
God,
right?
Dude.
Oh, my God, that would have been so good.
Be like, but what a fucking weirdo, right?
So anyways, I mean, it's so crazy, man, how people, I don't know, it's just, people throw you under the bus if they get a chance to, just to make themselves look better.
Dude, I was going to say about the auditioning, I auditioned for America's Got Talent. This is, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. I got an appointment, so I didn't have to wait in line. I went in there, dude, I did the first joke, and it went well, and they go, okay, cool. Can you tell us another one? And I hadn't thought that far ahead. So like all I prepared was this one joke. I was like, it's clean, it's quick. And I think they wanted, honestly, I can't remember. Let's say they wanted like 30 seconds or a minute. So I was like, I just worked this over and over again. Get it down, it's quick. And then I'll fucking nail it, right? So I did it. They're like, oh, yeah, that was really good. What else? And I was like, so then I was like, so I'm fucking this bitch. I don't even know what the next joke that was, but it definitely wasn't AGT ready. I totally froze, and I was like,
oh, and that's the thing. Is like I said, America's Got Talent, great, in its own right. I mean, Ty is on it. God, what's his name? That's friends with Chris Rodriguez.
Jackie Fabulous has been on it. Preacher Lawson, yeah. He, almost went to the very end, but. The thing with those is it's like, okay, can you do stand-up for kids? That's basically what they're asking you to do. Like, my idea was to pitch to HBO, like, hey, let's have a real comedy competition where it's, like, unfiltered. You could just be you, and we take all these, almost like a comedy competition. You take them to different cities, and you see how they do in the theater. You see how they do in the white venues. Alt room, black room.
Black room. Dude. And then it's like, then we see who's the real last comic standing, because that's going to tell you who can command, the stage. And
that's a great idea, dude. I wonder who's going to steal it from this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, shit, if it does, let me just get a spot on it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, fuck. I wrote down. There's a couple things I wanted to make sure I hit on. Did you see? Did you see the rapper that got arrested for the EDD shit?
No, what happened?
Okay, do you know what EDD is?
I was thinking erectile dysfunction, but no, what is?
Erectile dysfunction for this dick. EDD. No, it's EDD is California's unemployment department.
Right.
So some fucking dipshit. This is actually gonna be my daily video, I think, or this other one about Kev. But he did this whole rap song about I scammed the unemployment department, or I got rich off EDD. I think that's what it is. I got rich off EDD. Well, he did, and he also got caught. The FBI found out he had, I think it was like 28 cards, unemployment, false things. He's here in Vegas, I guess, or he was, and they had scammed like $1 million.
Damn.
And he is arrested because he's a fucking idiot.
That's one that you're not going to come back from. I mean, you're going to be going away for a long time. It's weird. If you have lawyers, well, shit. If you got Trump-like lawyers, you probably just get like a year. You know what I mean? But he's going to go away for a long fucking time, man.
Dude, I think he's fucked because not only did you do it, you stole all this money, but then you fucking were taunting the government.
Good
They'll
point.
be like, oh, you think you got jokes? Okay. You want to do your little fucking hip-hop song? Okay.
They're going to play his fucking mixtape in court.
Oh, fucking hilarious, dude.
Oh,
yeah, it's.
shit.
I think I might do a video on it today. I'm just like,
definitely
fucking idiot.
Ugh. Just people are dummies.
What'd you say?
People are dummies. Like, it's like, it reminds me of all the like real rappers that, I think it was like Bobby Shmurda went to jail over like talking about the crimes that he did or something like that. And it's like, man, like, I'll never understand it. You don't snitch. It's just like, what's his name? The dude with all the rainbow hair and shit.
Tekashi fucking.
Yeah, Tekashi.
I will not, dude. I fucking hate that dude so much that I. Like, as I'm doing my daily videos on my, on my stories, I won't use his music. I won't do anything to support that guy. I fucking can't stand that dude.
Yeah. Ugh.
He's awful. The worst. All right. What do you have? What do you want to plug? Do you have anything you want to plug? Your improv crew?
No, just Love in Black and White. Episode, 7 will be dropping this week. So make sure you check that out. Rate us, review us, and tell a friend to tell a friend. Yeah. And so at Manny Martin Jr. And so
I you know what? I want to say something. I just saw a tweet. So I tweeted out that I'll give an update on Phil. So one of the faithful listeners, Kev is a ski addict on Twitter. He replied to it. He said maybe like the animal, which is Phil's handle. He said maybe like the animal will reply to emails. No, he won't, because Phil is literally in lockdown, so to speak. He's in rehab. So, he would always, when he was doing the podcast, he was like, yeah, any comments or anything, send an email to hwppod@gmail. I should get the password from him, and then I can reply to those. Or you can just email me at bigirishj@gmail. But, so he won't reply to those emails until he gets out, so I wouldn't expect a reply until end of November, early December. But just a heads up on that. My plugs. And Manny's at Manny Martin Jr. And I'm obviously at Big Irish J. Things I got plugged I haven't got plugged. Things I got plugged. My asshole. Next week. I'm doing an interview with James Jones Jr. on IG. Saturday, I'm doing a podcast with Keitho Barole. And next week, I'm doing some shows here in Vegas at, let's see if I have it here real quick, Notoriety on Fremont Street. I'll be doing some shows Saturday. So just go to bigirishj.com. All the info's there. And until next week... Bye. That's for Phil. Okay, bye.